The two things we always talk about, recommend that you invest in if you can at all possible. Number one is a ring light, which is this one here. So if you haven't got natural daylight, then this is a great option. If you haven't got natural daylight coming into the room that you're shooting in against the plain wall, or you're shooting late at night, etc., then this is a great option. If you are using a ring light, if you just jump in there now, Madison, just make sure you're not having it up too high. Because we're getting a lot of tapes at the moment where they are going really high, and we're getting that bounce back of the light in the eyes as well as just completely looking washed out. So don't need to bring it up that high at all if you do need it to create some light. The second thing is the collapsible backdrop that we've spoken about before. Now this is quite large. I think it's 200 by 150, but it does collapse all the way down into this bag here, so it's really easy to store, and obviously you've got the option of having it this way up or turning it obviously round the other way if it's someone that's taller and you need that full length. Now the really good thing with this is if you haven't got a plain wall, so for example here I can use this white wall, but the natural light is actually coming out the other way, so it'd be really good if we could use this side. This however isn't a plain wall, but we can very easily, just with this collapsible backdrop, make it appear as a grey wall. And if we're doing the tape here, that's obviously all you would see. So that would be perfect. And it means that my light source is behind me and I've got an area that obviously looks like it's a plain wall. Again, you can use this in any room. So anywhere that you've got good light, but obviously you've got something in the way, just stick this up and it will work perfect. And never stand in front of a window. So you always want your light source to be in front of you, never behind you. Otherwise the light, the stronger it is, the more it's going to make you look like a shadow. So always shoot in front of a plain background. So a plain wall with no pictures, etc. And preferably a light or neutral colour. This is so that the person watching isn't going to be looking at what's going on in the background. They're going to be focusing completely on the child. So in terms of clothing, just keep it as plain and simple as possible. So just a really plain top is normally the best option. Obviously, if they're going in for a really specific role, let's say for a footballer and they have a football shirt, then that's absolutely fine. School child and they're wearing a school uniform, that kind of thing is absolutely fine. But otherwise, if ever you're in doubt, just keep it really plain and simple. Okay, so number one rule is always shoot landscape. You're never shooting portrait. So you're always shooting landscape. So you're turning your phone on its side so it looks like the dimensions of a TV screen. So this is your ideal distance that you want to be away from the child. So a lot of people tend to go that bit further back and you start to see chest or even waist, and we don't want that at all. So we want to get nice and close in so we can really see what's going on with the face and just keep it nice and close. So head and shoulders. So if you're requested to do hands as part of an ident, then you'll be doing them like this. So nice and close to the face. Around 2 seconds and then turn them over. What we don't want, which again we tend to find a lot of children tend to do, is they tend to stick their arms out a little bit all over the place or even in front of them. And we don't want that at all. So just again, nice and close in, hands up against the face, a couple of seconds either side. So if you're asked to do profiles as part of an ident, there's a few things to remember. First off, you need to be turning your whole body and not just turning your head. So we don't just want this. That's not enough. So you need to turn your feet 90 degrees. So you're looking straight at the other side, back to the middle, and then to the other side again. Now what's happening here is a prime example if you've got long hair. So an ideal way to get around that is to just simply tuck the hair behind the ears as you're about to do your profiles, and then you'll see much better and we can see the face much clearer and the profiles are much better. Now, if you can't tuck your hair behind your ears, say for example, if you've got afro hair, then a good way to get around that is when you do turn to do your profiles, is if you just make sure that you get your arm that's furthest away from the camera and just hold it, so then we can get that clear profile. Make sure you are using the hand that's furthest away and not closest to camera. Otherwise, what will happen if you do that is your arm will block your profile. If you're asked to do full lengths as part of your ident or your tape, you've got a couple of options. So you can either, first off, just do a pan down and then back up again, just to make sure we've got the full body in. So just like this, and not too fast, not too slow, just so we can see the full body, and then back up again. So that's your first option. Your second option is to take a nice big jump all the way back. I don't think I can get back further enough here, but all the way back as far as you can go to obviously get that full body in, and then back, making sure you're returning to that position again. Obviously, if you are a teenager, for example, and you're home alone and you're shooting your self-tape on your own, you can just cut a long shot into that part. So if your child's asked to talk about themselves as part of the tape, the reason for this is, number one, just to see a little bit more of them on camera, but number two, just to really get a better sense of their character. So what we don't want is a paragraph about their performing arts training, etc. It's not fun, it's not exciting, and it's not something that the client's really bothered about most of the time. So just keep it really fun, light-hearted, off the cuff. Try not to rehearse it. Do a few takes and then go whichever one you think sounds best. So eyeline is really important, and it's probably one of the most popular reasons why we have to get a self-tape redone. So if you are being yourself, so if you're just talking about yourself or doing an ident, etc., you're always looking to camera, so directly down the camera lens. As soon as you start acting, you're looking off of camera. So if you picture, whether it be the left or the right, and basically picture it as being like 5 past o'clock. So your face doesn't need to move, your body doesn't need to move. What we don't want is your body moving at all. Instantly you'll see we're now losing half of her face. So anything that's going on there, we're not getting that reaction. So keep to the front, but you're just going 5 past or the other side. What you don't want to do also is move your eye line so it's further, so it's higher or lower than the camera again. We don't need to do that, and you'll start losing it. So just keep it nice and close, but just taking your eye line just slightly off of camera. So another really important note to remember with your eye line is when you are doing your acting and you're looking off camera, obviously there will be points, as you would if you was talking to somebody in a normal conversation, where you will look away, etc. But please try and avoid your eyes flickering to camera. That's, again, something that a lot of kids generally tend to do. And it's really off-putting when the person is watching the video. So keep an eye line. It's always a good idea with the little ones to put something where they can focus on. If it's a person that they're speaking to, for an example, put something there that they can actually focus on, or even better, get a sibling or somebody else, if you can, to obviously stand there so that they can actually interact with that person. So if they do have sides to learn and they're not 100% confident with those off book, then make sure whatever you do that they're not holding those. So first off, you'll see it just looks like it gets in the way. They then start to read them, and also there's sometimes a lot of flickering going on, which is distracting, and the sound of the paper. So the best thing to do is literally you, if you're filming, or somebody else, or get them held up basically just at the side. Again, if they are doing this, do try to make sure that they're not just reading it, because you will see in their eyes that they are just reading it. And obviously the whole feel won't be natural at all. So make sure they know it obviously as much as possible. But if they're not 100% confident and they do just need those lines, just in case, just make sure they are completely out of shot.